So I'm going to give another biased opinion as to why I think Trump should have closed Job Corps. And I'm going to basically elaborate on another opinion that I gave where I said, he shouldn't have, right? But I understand why he did. But the courts, they just blocked that order he gave to close it down. They blocked that order. So, I think like this is a good thing. But again, I look at it this way. If he would have closed JC, and what was the reason behind it, right? The only reason that you get from closing it is he wanted to see children, teenagers who are at risk, for the jail system, for teens who are at risk of unemployment, homelessness. Could have been for only one reason. When you look at the laws from pre-colonialization and you look at the laws after colonialization, there was a period in time where if you were a farmer, right? Because that's another reason why he did that, right? If you were a farmer, right, and you had children, you basically were obligated to take care of the land. But again, right, you see in those old laws that you find in those newspaper clips, you had to, you know, do what the sheriff said you had to do. You had to do what the governor said you had to do. So there was a writing in one of the newspaper clips that said that you couldn't sell, someone in your family off to someone of a different complexion. You couldn't do that, you know. So when you see a government like that's happening right now in democracy, and you have Karine Jean-Pierre, and she goes independent, you have someone like Jasmine Crockett, who stays Democrat. Like, you kind of see how the wheels are turning. You also kind of see like how Trump is kind of left to do things the right way, but also kind of fathoming the fact that it's up to the people to find out what it is that they all need to do, even if they don't do it right. So taking away funding from JC and saying, what are you going to do with the funding now? Well, that could go to the Interior Department, right? For them to take care of the lands, but that didn't happen. So it's like it's on the courts to make the right decisions now. Are they going to make the right decisions? It's probably going to be a fact where they don't make the right decision. So it may work in the long run, but you have to understand something. The court is not going to tell everybody that they have to do this or they have to do that. It's up to the people to decide whether or not they have to do something and whether or not it's right. So that's one way of looking at it. I think if you look at it from an unbiased opinion, you look at it from a biased opinion, like, you can't go wrong either way. Trump understands that either way, like, if he motions that it doesn't go through, if he motions that it does go through, you still have to take into account that the government has to decide whether or not this is going to ultimately work. So like, read those old newspaper clippings from like the 1900s, where they're talking about mulattoes, Negroes, and Indians. You know what I mean? Read those newspaper clippings. So that's pretty much all I have to say about that. So far, I think I'm not really paying attention to what he's doing, but I'm really paying more attention to what's going to happen after he leaves. We saw what he did in his first 4 years, so that was a surprise after Obama left, right? But whoever gets in there next, they're probably not, well, they maybe will. They may not be a bureaucrat. And if they are a bureaucrat, The people of the land has to be ready. Great peace, Yakoki.